That's right, Diana. They cracked the case with an immediate confession, then followed a trail to the Middle East that uncovered critical intelligence in the war on terror. One agent with experience in explosives got the bomber to fess up. The other, an ex-military interrogator, worked for months to get a boatload of intelligence and a rare glimpse inside the mind of a suicide bomber. On Christmas Day 2009, a day of celebration and peace, a potential catastrophe was unfolding in the skies over Metro Detroit. A Nigerian-born suicide bomber, Umar Farouk Abdulmutallab, was preparing to take down a flight from Amsterdam with explosives hidden in his underwear. He'd been instructed to detonate the bomb over a populated area to maximize the death toll. In his mind, it was an act of martyrdom and jihad. He had no feelings for the men, women, and children around him who were about to die.
He did not bat an eye in saying if that plane was going to go down, it was going to go down. That was God's call. That wasn't his call. His responsibility was just to detonate the bomb. And then whatever happened, happened.
As the huge jumbo jet carrying over 300 people was approaching Detroit, Abdulmutallab disappeared into the restroom to wash himself, a ritual for his passage into the next life. When he returned to his seat, he told the guy sitting next to him he wasn't feeling well,
and pulled a blanket, almost completely concealing himself up to the chin.
Using a plastic syringe, Abdulmutallab injected a mixture of liquids and solids into the explosive chemicals already packed into his underwear. But instead of exploding, the bomb burst into flames, setting his clothes and the blanket on fire, seriously burning him. The FBI later recreated what might have happened had the device gone off as planned. But the lead investigator says even though the bomb didn't explode, it still could have brought the big plane down.
In speaking with the pilots collectively, there's no greater emergency on a plane than fire. To them, that is the worst thing that can happen. They could lose complete control of the plane if the flame impinged on the wiring.
When the underwear bomb ignited, the plane was over Woodhaven, a populated area downriver from Detroit.
So not only the potential casualties of 300 or some people on the plane, but if it were to come down, then you've got that catastrophe on the ground as well.
Abdulmutallab was whisked off the plane and rushed to U of M hospital with serious burns. FBI agents Mike Connolly and Ted Pysick were enjoying Christmas with their families when they got the call to head to Metro Airport.
The call basically was talking about possible fireworks on an aircraft.
On the way, Pysick, an expert on explosives and interrogation, was diverted to U of M hospital when they learned it was likely a bomb.
We needed to know what kind of device, details about the device, who was behind this, were there other actions like this going to happen as well, which is kind of a footprint of Al-Qaeda.
And he needed the information quickly in case other suicide bombers were in the air. Because there was a public safety threat, the FBI decided not to give Abdulmutallab his Miranda rights.
Well, it was debated whether that was a great strategy. Ultimately, it figured out to be a very good one.
Surprisingly, Abdulmutallab admitted he was a suicide bomber affiliated with Al-Qaeda. He told them what kind of device it was, said he was acting alone, and there were no other suicide bombers in the air.
The world was at notice at that point. We may be under attack. We're able to share information pretty rapidly to alleviate some of that concern.
Agents say Abdulmutallab is exceptionally bright, well-educated, and good on his feet. On the way to the U.S., there were several times when he could have been tripped up and detected, but he smooth-talked his way through. Ironically, his obsession to detail is what apparently caused his suicide mission to fail. Agents say he wore the underwear bomb for 3 weeks straight to get comfortable with it and to make sure it would not be detected, taking it off only to shower.
So basically for 3 weeks, he wore this garment, these underwear with this device in it. We think ultimately that probably is what caused a little bit of separation in this sequence of events in the explosion.
So why did he choose Detroit for his deadly act? It all came down to dollars and cents. By the time Abdulmutallab got to Amsterdam for the final leg of his mission, he had only enough money left to get to 2 American cities.
By the time that he made his decision, it basically had come down to Houston or Detroit, and when he bought a ticket, it ended up being Detroit.
While Abdulmutallab readily and proudly told agents about his suicide mission and the bomb he wore, he was clearly lying about other details, including who had sent him.
He gave us a kind of predetermined cover story, and some names that didn't jive with what we understood.
So the FBI had a lot more work to do to find out who else was involved in the planning and what else might be in the terror pipeline down the road. Abdulmutallab himself may have unknowingly pointed them in the right direction.
One final thing that I asked him before leaving is this something then that you had approved or authorized by your parents? And he said, oh no, my parents would never approve of it. And I thought that was interesting.
And that interesting comment was one reason FBI agent Mike Connolly went directly to Nigeria to talk to Abdulmutallab's family. That opened the door to almost daily conversations with the underwear bomber. Over a period of months, Connolly got detailed and chilling information about Abdulmutallab and his mission. Our story continues tonight at 11 when the agents give you a rare glimpse inside the mind of a suicide bomber. Remember, nobody has ever talked to these guys before, and what they have to say tonight at 11 is riveting.